Sometimes we think being nice is the answer. We think if we keep the peace, smile through the disrespect, and never fight back, people will finally treat us right. But with a narcissist, that rule doesn't work. They don't respect kindness. They exploit it. They don't listen to soft words. They only respond to strength. Today, I want to show you that you don't have to become rude, toxic, or cold, but you must become controlled. When a narcissist realizes you don't react, you don't beg, and you don't clap every time they perform, that's the moment you take your power back. You don't defeat a narcissist by being nice. You defeat them by being unshakable. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. A narcissist studies people the way a hunter studies prey. They don't listen to your words, they watch your reactions. If they notice that your goal is to be liked, to keep things calm, or to avoid conflict at any cost, they instantly know how to control you. When your need is approval, their weapon becomes disapproval. When your fear is conflict, their power becomes pressure. And the more you try to be liked, the more they try to make you feel hated. Because the moment you depend on someone for validation, they become the one who holds your value. That's why the key is to stop chasing likability and start standing for respect. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be harsh. You just need to be direct, calm, and consistent. When someone crosses a line and you speak up, they may get loud, but real strength doesn't need volume. Real strength is quiet, firm, and unwavering. When they realize you're not shaped by their mood, they begin to understand that your respect for yourself is greater than your desire to please them. Think about how many conversations you've had where you said, "I'm okay," even when you weren't. How many times you apologized just to keep the peace, even when you were the one who got hurt. That's what a narcissist feeds on. They don't want peace, they want control. So they push your limits, then wait to see how you respond. If you stay silent, they grow stronger. If you respond emotionally, they still win because now they have your reaction. But when you respond calmly, clearly, and with boundaries, they feel something. They hate loss of control. A narcissist hates losing control, but they will hate something even more the moment they realize they never actually had control over you in the first place. Strength is not being aggressive. Strength is not yelling. Strength is not dominating a conversation. True strength is being able to look someone in the eye and say, "I respect myself enough not to participate in this disrespect." It's walking away from manipulation without explaining yourself. It's not defending your decisions to someone who benefits from making you doubt them. When you stop justifying your boundaries, you start living in self-respect. Narcissists don't know what to do with someone who doesn't defend themselves. They want you to feel guilty for saying no. They want you to feel selfish for putting yourself first. But saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you sane. It makes you free. It makes you someone who understands that love without respect is not love. It's dependency dressed up as care. There comes a point in your life when you realize that peace isn't found in avoiding conflict. It's found in protecting your dignity. It's not about making people like you. It's about becoming someone you like when you look in the mirror. Some people won't respect you until they see that you respect yourself. And sometimes the most painful truth is that people who once felt close to you may have to be distanced from you. Not because you don't care, but because they don't. Not because you want to fight them, but because you refuse to fight yourself anymore. You learn to value your mental clarity over their opinion. You learn that silence can protect you better than defensiveness ever could. You learn that walking away from manipulation is not weakness. It is maturity. The reason a narcissist does not respect nice is because niceness is often fueled by fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of judgment, fear of being alone. But when respect enters the picture, fear loses control. You no longer respond from insecurity. You respond from identity. And identity is something they cannot take from you unless you hand it over. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop explaining your worth and simply live it. When a narcissist says you've changed, what they really mean is, "My control isn't working anymore." When they say you're overreacting, what they really mean is, "You're reacting in a way that I can't control." When they say you're too sensitive, mean is, "You're no longer numb to my disrespect." That is why you must choose respect over approval. Because approval shifts with the wind, but respect anchors you when the storm starts to rise. You may lose people when you choose this path, but you won't lose yourself. And that is worth more than any temporary peace. You don't need everyone to like you. The goal is to become someone who doesn't crumble when someone doesn't. Narcissists run on fuel. Emotional reaction is that fuel. They want to see confusion, guilt, panic, tears. But when they see control in your eyes, when they hear calm in your voice, when they feel silence where you used to panic, they lose their power source. They start questioning themselves instead of making you question yourself. They start noticing that you don't talk the way you used to. You don't chase the way you used to. You don't apologize the way you used to. Because now your words carry weight. Now your decisions carry confidence. Now your presence carries authority. And the moment you realize that you don't owe anyone a performance to earn respect, you finally understand that strength doesn't need permission to exist. Strength only needs a decision to stop chasing people who run, a decision to stop negotiating your worth, a decision to stop shrinking your voice just to make someone else feel loud, a decision to accept that not everyone will like you, and that's perfectly okay because liking yourself will always be more important than being liked by someone who profits from your silence. When you finally see that respect doesn't come from making them happy, it comes from making yourself grounded, steady, calm, and untouchable, and when that happens, they stop seeing you as someone they can control and start seeing you as someone they never truly understood because your strength didn't come from them, it came from the moment you stopped needing them to confirm it. A narcissist wants your reaction more than anything else. They want your voice raised, your heartbeat fast, your mind rushing to defend yourself. They thrive on chaos because chaos makes you lose control. And when you lose control, they gain it. But there's one thing that disarms them more than any argument: silence. Silence is not weakness, silence is discipline. Silence is when your emotions stand still and your mind takes the steering wheel. When you stop reacting, you stop fueling their power. A narcissist can only control what they can get a reaction from, so when your response becomes calm, measured, and sometimes non-existent, they feel something they never expected: uncertainty. They don't know what to do when you don't respond. They don't know how to read you when your face doesn't show panic. That is when their tactics begin to crumble, because a person who does not give reaction cannot be controlled. Silence is powerful because it makes them sit inside their own behavior. When you argue, they focus on your words instead of their actions. The conversation shifts from what they did to how you said it. Suddenly you become the problem, not their behavior. But when you respond with silence, they are left alone with their own thoughts. They are forced to face what they've done without a distraction. They may accuse you of ignoring them, being immature, or acting cold, but don't mistake their frustration for truth. They want noise so they can escape accountability. They want you to defend yourself so they can twist your words. But silence removes all tools of manipulation. With silence, the conversation is no longer in their control. It's in yours. Silence is the moment they start questioning their next move instead of guiding yours. Many people think silence means walking away or cutting someone off completely. But silence is more than absence. It is choice. It is when you're fully aware of what was said to you, yet you choose not to react impulsively. You choose time over emotion. You choose composure over confusion. Silence gives you the space to respond logically instead of emotionally. And that space is where strength grows. A narcissist wants to trigger your instincts. They want fight or flight. They want panic. But when you stand calm, they don't get what they came for. They expect a battlefield, but you give them stillness. And stillness scares them because stillness means control. Stillness means power. Stillness means they can no longer lead the conversation where they benefit. Think of silence as a filter. It filters what deserves your response and what only seeks your reaction. Silence helps you respond instead of react. A narcissist will often provoke you just to see if you still care. They'll use guilt, blame, past mistakes, anything to pull you into a debate. But silence tells them that you have nothing to prove. Silence shows them that your validation no longer comes from their approval. When you don't react, they realize you're not chasing closure anymore. And a narcissist cannot stand someone who doesn't seek closure from them. Because closure for them is control. If you need answers from them, they feel in charge. But when your silence says, I don't need your version of the story to move on, they lose their power over you. Your silence also reveals their intention. Someone who truly wants to understand you will listen when you pause. But someone who only wants to win will panic when you become silent. They don't fear losing you. They fear losing control. They fear losing the ability to shape your thoughts. Silence exposes their motives. It exposes who can respect boundaries and who resents them. It's during silence that you see who reaches out with empathy and who reaches out with pressure. And that's how you find clarity. People reveal the loudest truth when you go quiet. Some will step back and give you space. Others will step forward and invade it. And that difference shows exactly who deserves access to your peace. Silence doesn't mean you accept disrespect. It means you refuse to engage in it. It means you've chosen self-control over emotional surrender. Silence gives you time to think, to understand, to process. It allows you to speak only when your words are stronger than their manipulation. And sometimes, the strongest voice you have is the one you don't use. Silence tells them they can't just summon your emotions whenever they want. Silence tells them you're not here to perform. Silence tells them that your peace is guarded. They may try harder. They may push more. They may even create more drama just to force a reaction. But that should only confirm how threatened they feel by your composure. If someone fights your silence, what they're really fighting is your healing. The most powerful way to use silence is with understanding. Understand why you are quiet. Silence without intention becomes suppression. Silence with intention becomes strength. When your silence is based on wisdom and clarity, it shows emotional maturity. You're not avoiding the problem. You're approaching it with strength. You're approaching it with patience. You're making a decision instead of surrendering to impulse. The narcissist may think silence is the end of communication, but silence is the beginning of control. It's the start of taking back your mind, your emotions, and your ability to choose when, where, and how to speak. It's important to understand that silence is not a weapon to hurt others. It's protection to help yourself. It's not revenge, it's recovery. It's not coldness, it's clarity. When someone repeatedly shows they don't value your voice, silence is how you protect it. When someone twists your words, silence is how you guard them. And when someone uses conversation as a battlefield, silence is how you avoid unnecessary wars. Silence may not change them, but it changes you. It teaches you patience, discipline, emotional strength. It teaches you that sometimes walking away from chaos is more courageous than staying in it. It teaches you that sometimes the most powerful way to stand up for yourself is not to stand louder, but to stand still. Training yourself to use silence requires practice. It requires accepting that you may feel uncomfortable at first. You may feel the urge to defend yourself, to clear your name, to explain your truth. But silence teaches you that your truth doesn't need a defense when it's rooted in reality. Time reveals everything. Silence proves what words never could. And when they realize that you no longer argue, no longer chase explanations, no longer play their emotional games, they begin to feel something new: respect. Because silence signals strength. Silence signals growth. Silence signals emotional discipline. And when a narcissist sees that you don't panic in their presence, that you don't argue for their approval, that you don't react when they test you, they start to sense that they no longer own the version of you they used to control, and that realization is the first spark of freedom that only silence can create. Many people misunderstand boundaries. They think boundaries are walls that push people away, block love, and shut people out. But the truth is, boundaries are doors that you control. A door can open, a door can close. A door allows entry, but only when you choose. Boundaries don't ruin relationships, they reveal the health of them. When you put a boundary in place, the right people will respect it. The wrong people will resist it. And a narcissist, they will try everything to break it. They won't attack the boundary directly. They'll attack your confidence in it. They'll say you're overreacting, being distant, selfish, or dramatic. They'll try to make you believe that protecting your peace is actually hurting them. That is because they want access without accountability. They want the benefits of closeness without the responsibility of respect. But boundaries remind them that access to your life is a privilege, not a right. A narcissist prefers blurred lines because clarity limits control. They don't want to know where your limits are. They want to move them. They want to test how far you'll go to keep them happy. Many people give up their boundaries not because they don't matter, but because they fear losing the person who is constantly crossing them. But you must understand something powerful. A person who gets angry when you set a boundary was never safe when you didn't. A healthy person may not agree with every boundary, but they will respect it because they respect you. A narcissist, on the other hand, will challenge your boundary again and again, not to understand it, but to weaken it. Each time you bend your limit, they learn something about you. They learn how to push you. They learn how to use guilt to make you doubt your own standards. But boundaries only become strong when you stand firm, even when it feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is not weakness. It is growth. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about managing yourself. You can't change their behavior, but you can control your presence around it. You can't stop someone from disrespecting you, but you can stop giving them repeated access to do it. The purpose of a boundary is not to punish someone. It is to protect your well-being. When you establish a boundary, you're sending a message: this is how I deserve to be treated. This is what I allow in my space. A narcissist will try to make you feel guilty for that. They'll paint you as the cold one or the distant one. But boundaries are not cold, they are clarity. Clarity about what matters to you. Clarity about what you're building. Clarity about how you want to feel when you wake up every day. And clarity is the one thing manipulation cannot survive. At first, setting boundaries will feel unfamiliar. You might second guess yourself. You might wonder if you're being too harsh. But boundaries don't make you harsh, they make you honest. They help you live in alignment instead of pretending to be okay just to avoid conflict. When someone repeatedly crosses your line and you still allow them back in, your silence becomes agreement, your tolerance becomes approval, and your heart slowly carries the weight of unspoken resentment. Boundaries free you from that weight. They allow you to love without losing yourself. They let you care without collapsing. They create space for your mind to breathe, for your emotions to settle, and for your strength to grow. A boundary is not rejection, it is direction. It doesn't say go away. It says come correctly. A narcissist will often test your boundaries through emotional pressure. They'll use your past mistakes to guilt you. They'll remind you of all the times they helped you. They may even play the victim to flip the narrative. But that's why boundaries are needed the most in conversations that feel confusing. A clear boundary might sound like, I'm not going to argue about this right now. Or if you keep speaking to me like that, I will step away. Not rude, not aggressive, just clear. And clarity is strength. That's what they fear the most. Because the more clarity you have, the less influence they carry. Narcissists try to blur your reality so you question your sanity. Boundaries bring reality back. They remind you that peace is not something you beg for. Peace is something you create through choices. Sometimes a boundary means walking away. Sometimes it means staying but changing how you respond. Sometimes it means limiting what you share and how much access someone has to your emotions. Boundaries are adjustable, but they are not negotiable when respect is at stake. You can modify them as you grow, but you should never erase them when someone pushes back. If a person leaves your life because you establish a boundary, they were not there for your growth. They were there for your compliance. And compliance is the oxygen a narcissist breathes. They don't need love from you. They need control over you. But you're not here to be controlled. You're here to grow. You're here to build your identity, your voice, and your strength. Boundaries are how you begin that journey. Boundaries are not just for others. They are also for yourself. There are moments when you will be tempted to break your own boundary just to feel accepted. But acceptance that costs your peace is not acceptance, it's dependency. And dependency masquerading as love is one of the most painful forms of self-betrayal. Your responsibility is not to avoid being alone. Your responsibility is to avoid abandoning yourself. Because sometimes the loneliest place in the world is not being by yourself, it's being around someone who makes you feel unseen. Boundaries protect you from that loneliness. They help you choose solitude over chaos. They help you choose healing over attention. They help you choose growth over comfort. As you start to enforce boundaries, people will react differently. Some will distance themselves. Some will attack. Some will respect you even more. But only one reaction truly matters, yours. Because when you begin to honor your own boundaries, something shifts inside you. You start to walk differently. You start to speak differently. You start to choose differently. You stop chasing validation. You stop over-explaining your decisions. You stop apologizing for having needs. Instead of seeking permission, you start making decisions. Instead of seeking approval, you start practicing self-respect. And that transformation is powerful because that is the moment you stop existing according to someone else's expectations and start living according to your own values. A narcissist might call your boundaries selfish, dramatic, or cruel. But let them call it whatever they want. Words don't define boundaries. Choices do. Boundaries are how you teach people to treat you. Boundaries are how you save your energy for what truly matters. Boundaries are how you stop feeling like a prisoner inside relationships that only survive when you sacrifice your peace. Boundaries remind you that you do not need to be at war with someone to stop giving them access. You can step back without stepping into conflict. You can walk away without walking in anger. You can close the door without closing your heart. And if anyone views your boundary as an attack, it simply means they were never planning to respect it in the first place because the goal was never control, it was freedom. And the first step of freedom is knowing that your peace is worth protecting even if it costs you the people who never valued it in the first place.